Thanks, guys. So I'm Chris. I work on the strategy team at Meetup. Today I'm going to tell you how we use data and machine learning to give away free money. So first, what is Meetup? For those of you who are unfamiliar, Meetup is an online platform which hosts local face-to-face communities. If you have been to a Meetup, you've probably been to something like this, a big tech event with 100 people. But actually, tech is only 10% of Meetup. A typical Meetup group might look like this. And so actually, there are more RSVPs to moms events than there are to tech events in a month. So let me get to the point. How does Meetup make money? We're a subscription service, and so each group pays to join the site, and that acts as a pretty good quality filter. As any subscription business, one of our biggest problems is that not all of our customers stick around. And so we want to maximize retention rates because it means a better experience for our organizers and our members and greater network effects. And the money is nice too. So we looked at some of the retention levers, the first of which is members and RSVPs. Clearly, groups with fewer members are at greater risk. Once you get to about 60 or 70 members, you're in pretty good shape. And this is a big issue for us. We devote a lot of our product and development teams to getting groups launched and making sure that they get promotion on the platform. The next issue is price. We charge about $10 to $20 a month, and that can be too much for certain groups. We identified this as the primary cause of churn for about 20%. That was based on surveys. And so we looked at price and we thought maybe there's an opportunity here. We don't do much with price experiments. Perhaps we can do a quick experiment and see what would happen if we just make it rain on our customers. So let's just give out discounts and see what that does for our retention rates. But obviously, we can't give discounts to everyone. So this is where the data comes in. We used a classifier to figure out which meetups are struggling. For this, we used a random forest classifier. We plugged in 61 features. And what we found was that the feature importances kind of matched our expectations. Joins and RSVPs were pretty good indicators. Something like whether or not the organizer had their Facebook account tied, not such a great predictor. And so using this classifier, we sent out a whole bunch of discounts. And what we found was we had a 70% churn rate, which is great. The people that we identified were really at risk. And so the coupons we were sending to people, they were going to those risky people, those risky groups. We also found that the group that we identified, the small subset, accounted for 50% of churn on the overall system, which is nice because we could potentially make a huge impact if we could somehow help out these people. So we were all set up for a big win, and then what we found was that no one clicked on the coupons. We only had a 7% redemption rate, which is pretty horrible. And what was even more puzzling was that 85% of renewals left money on the table. So we were sending out all these coupons. People would still renew, but they would just ignore the free money that we were giving to them. They would renew and just take the usual price. And this was weird. So we had to sit down and think of some possible explanations. Perhaps the messaging wasn't clear. Maybe it sounded a little spammy. Perhaps 50% isn't a big enough discount. The most likely explanation, I think, is that money just really isn't the issue for these groups. It's important that the network effects kick in. And so the value of your meetup group is tied to the amount of activity that happens. So what we essentially did was identified these captains of sinking ships, and we gave them 50% off their sinking ship. And so it just wasn't, yeah, as you can see, it's just not an enticing offer. And so unfortunately, our medicine didn't cure the underlying problem. And so we needed to go back and rethink some alternatives. Perhaps we can do an injection of emergency joins and RSVPs, do more coaching. But hey, the classifier worked, and that was something that I was happy about, because we're still able to identify this small group that could potentially lead to a big win. And so we're left with this treasure map, and so for the next iteration, we'll continue to try to figure out how to affect these people. And so I'm actually ending really early, so that's it. Thanks, guys.